Hi, I'm Chris. I'm one of the group facilitators at TC42, and I'm going to be speaking to Grace, who's a group member at TC42.
Yeah, so I've been a member of TC42 for 2 years now? 2 years? Yeah.
Who would you say the service or the group is for?
I think that formally it's for anyone between 18 and 25, I think, or right up to 26 is the kind of the cut-off. And it's for anyone struggling, any young person struggling with mental health problems, really. It doesn't matter if there's not been a specific diagnosis or anything. I know we have quite a few people who's part of the group with borderline personality disorder, but we've also got quite a few people who haven't necessarily had a formal diagnosis. Yeah, so just young people. You can join for up to 3 years and preferably longer than a year. It's quite a long-term thing.
What can a young person expect from the group? How would you describe the group?
So we meet every Wednesday for just under 4 hours. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, about 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5, 4 hours. And we start off with a business meeting, which is more formalities of who's missing, what have we got on today, have any of the group members met up outside group. So yeah, I guess in the business meeting, we'll do a thing called 1 minute feedback, where everyone goes around the group and sums up their week in 1 minute-ish. Yeah. So maybe that can kind of tip us off on who needs to talk more in talk time. But it's not necessarily about specific things. So someone might say, oh, I went to this event and I was really anxious, but it might spark off a discussion on anxiety more in talk time, I think. And sometimes it's people try and give solutions or coping strategies, but sometimes it's just a space where people can just sort of talk about how they feel without actually having to come to a solution.
Yeah, and just be heard.
Yeah.
Be heard. Okay, so the group's called TC42. What does the TC stand for?
So TC stands for Therapeutic Community, and obviously the 42 is because it's part of 42nd Street. So it's a model that's not unique to 42nd Street. I think there's a few around Manchester, therapeutic communities, but it's basically a democratically run group that supports people with mental health difficulties, and they tend to be more long-term TCs.
Yeah, okay. And the democratic bit?
The democratic bit is that it's run primarily by group members. So there are staff members present, but they kind of help out and facilitate rather than lead the group or direct where the group is going. I'd say that they don't vote on all of the decisions of the group. Yeah,
that's true. So there's some things we all vote on, isn't there? But some things just group members will vote on.
So stuff like people joining the group is just group members that vote. Whereas I guess you might have more of a say on group activities because you have to do the health and safety report.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Well, that's another thing worth mentioning, I guess, isn't it? We do group activities.
We've done dog walks in the past. We went for a meal, went for a curry, didn't we? Mm-hmm. 2 of the staff members have dogs. Mm-hmm. I've got a dog. And sometimes group members will have not a dog themselves, but a family dog. Yeah. So we usually, I like any chance to show off my dog, to be fair. Yeah.
Also, I guess there's bits outside of the group, isn't there? You've got is it Facebook?
Yeah, we've got a Facebook group chat. So after 4 weeks in the group, you can become friends with other group members on social media or swap numbers and stuff. There's a 4-week wait just so there's no cliques forming and stuff like that. But yeah, we've got a Facebook group chat, so sometimes we'll meet for a coffee or something. And then obviously there's 2 15-minute breaks in the group, so everyone will just kind of hang out a bit there, eat their lunch. And then we have an after group session as well, which is half an hour, yeah. And that's much more relaxed, I think. We talk about how people found group and what people have got coming up next week, but it's mainly kind of a debrief, so it's a bit less formal.
What about in terms of it being democratic group, in terms of it being a group for young people rather than run by staff?
Yeah, so we tend to have a minimum of 2, but sometimes up to 4 staff members in with us, but they don't tend to, not that they don't contribute much, but it's mainly run by the young people, so it's democratically run. So one person will be elected chairperson for that day, and someone else will be elected to keep track of the time. But any decisions we make have to be voted on democratically. So say I put myself forward for chair, the whole group would have to agree with that. And that obviously can be for small decisions, but can also be for big decisions as well, like who we decide will join the group and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's every Wednesday, 12:20 till 3:15, and I am for an indefinite kind of time, really. Ideally, people would leave because they feel like they've had the most of the service, but then sometimes, obviously, people might leave if we've had some people move out of the area. Ideally, people would leave when they feel like they've got the most out of the service. I think that's my plan for leaving in a few months' time. Yeah. Moving away.
Because we've had some people turning 26.
26, yeah. And also sometimes people it doesn't work for them. Yes, and there's no, if you go and obviously we expect you to try, but if after like a month or 2 months you're just thinking this isn't working, or maybe I'm not ready to share things with a group, people do leave for that, and that's fine. Not particularly often, it does happen.
It's not necessarily a group for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. But people can just have a go. As long as they can commit. Yeah, they can't just turn up for one session and be like, nah. Is
that one of the things about the group, that it requires a commitment?
Yeah, I think it does require a commitment. If you don't turn up for 3 weeks without a genuinely good reason, then there'll be a discussion on like participation and what the group needs from you, really. It is group therapy, but for a lot of people it can be quite hard to share stuff. And if people are just dropping in and out when they feel like it, that's a little bit wobbly on the trust front between people. So if people come every week and they commit, then people feel much more comfortable sharing stuff. So there's up to 12. Is there up to 12 spaces in the group?
Yeah, we have up to 12 spaces.
I think there's 9 of us at the moment.
Yeah, usually the group membership is around about 9 or 10.
Yeah. Whereas obviously that's a fairly big amount. So if everyone was just chopping and changing when they wanted to come, that could be quite hard. So when everybody, which they usually do, comes regularly for a very long period of time, it makes it quite a trusting environment, I think.
What happens when someone leaves the group?
It really depends on the young person. Sometimes, like I said, if someone leaves because the group is not necessarily helping them, then I think TC42 would probably try and work out what it was that they needed. And then there's there's individual counselling here as well. Mm. The process of someone leaving is quite a long process. So there'll be a month before people leave, they have a 5-minute slot each talk time to just discuss how they're going to cope with leaving, or if they've got any other support planned, or if they're moving away, do they have friends in that area, that sort of thing, just to make sure that you don't go cold turkey without any support, really. So it's quite a supported exit, and obviously, hopefully they'll still be friends with some people in the group, because people do tend to get along and make friends. So it's not like they're just suddenly dropped without knowing anybody.
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of emphasis on leaving, isn't there, in the build-up, so someone doesn't just suddenly leave, it's talked about and there's a process there.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.